and welcome to All Our Hearts and Minds. Thank you again for tuning in. We're here to discuss all things that have been on our hearts and minds, the good, the bad, concerning, and uplifting, or just straight talk. We're your hosts, Kimmy, our passionate heart,
Yeah.
and me, Jeanette, our mind and chronic overthinker. Let's get into it.
Yes, please and thanks.
Okay, before we get into the nitty gritty,
Mm-hmm.
how are you? How's the week? What's your mental check-in right now?
I'm good. I'm doing okay. Been putting some plans together and looking forward to the future and to the summertime. Overall, the week was busy, but I mean, when is it not? It seems like, but either which way, I can't complain nonetheless. I took out my braids.
Oh,
My
yes.
protective hairstyle, done. And let me tell you, I was telling you before, getting a good wash, like, when you get down deep and you just wash it good, like from the scalp all the way out. It's just so
Yes.
purifying. I had this peppermint. I was telling you about the same thing with what is it called? Up North Naturals. This peppermint brethren, it's nice on your scalp, you see, especially since I had the braids in. But anyway, yeah, nonetheless, the week was good.
Very productive. Good. Yeah, I actually took out my hair yesterday too, and got a good scrubbing. So
you know what I mean? Like, you
It's
just
gonna be
need it sometime, and then do a good hair mask and let it sit and simmer a little bit.
yeah, and same old as last week, but I'm in good spirits and keeping it going. So I think by the end of this month, my office is going to open, so I'm actually looking forward to that, to be around people.
Nice.
But other than that, I'm good. We will jump into headlines since we're doing good. So I'm going to start with Doug Ford declared a state of emergency due to the convoy going on in Toronto. Or Ottawa, sorry, let's say Ottawa.
Well,
both, but everybody really knows about the Ottawa
Ottawa
situation. And a lot of people were saying, like, what was taking so long and all this stuff, because I think it really got serious because they went up to Windsor, and they were blocking off the Detroit Windsor Ambassador Bridge. So that's when America gets involved and they're like, listen, open up that shit.
You know what I'm saying?
They're like,
I
we
never
have shit
really
to
could
deliver.
understand like what they expected to be done. Like, I couldn't really get like, okay, if the United States has the same sort of mandates, then how are we going to influence the states to then take you crossing the border? I don't know. I was kind of lost with like the real fight of it all because it seems so convoluted with all this other stuff.
Yes, it is definitely
So
convoluted.
I don't know. But anyhow, yeah, Doug said, NASA, go sit down with your truck, them.
Yeah, so they were. I mean, they started doing things like they were gonna, like the mayor said they were gonna arrest certain people who do, like they were blocking people bringing in gas for the trucks. But I also feel like some of the Ottawa police are also supporters, so I feel like that's why they were able to kind of get away with some things. But nevertheless, yesterday, Doug Ford said he'll be calling his cabinet to draw up orders prohibiting the blockading by protesters at all points of entry, including the 400 series of highways, airports, ports, bridges, and railways, as well as ambulatory medical services, public transit, municipal and provincial roadways, as well as pedestrian walkways. The order will include fines up to or of $100,000.
That's right, 100,000.
That's a baseline.
And you could lose your license, period.
Or more for those who fail to comply. He also, like Kim said they're threatening to revoke vehicle licenses of those blockading the bridge. So it looks like the bridge was the last straw.
So they'll take your livelihood from you, is in other words. Because if you drive trucks and then they take your license from you, you can't then go and apply, and you have to provide a license to whatever other trucking company you want to work for. This is serious right here, as far as I'm concerned. And one thing that Doug Ford did say, and I'm not, hey, me and Doug, we have our issues, best believe it. But he did say that it's like the rest of the city has to now be taken hostage to your protests. And it's like, now this is not a peaceful protest because you're stopping the food chain.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're stopping the food supply. Like eventually you're going to need to get fed too. Eventually you're going to need to eat. And if you're stopping this for a period of time, do you realize what you're doing to the rest of the people? Like everybody has a choice. And I keep saying this probably in every episode. Like everybody has a choice. And so you make yours and I can make mine. But I shouldn't have to suffer with the loud honking at this big old dirty horn day in and day out, you know, for over 2+ weeks. So Doug Ford had to say enough is enough.
So that's what's happening. So I guess we'll see where it goes from there. Moving on. Okay, so that's our local news. This one's a big one, and I'm gonna keep it as short as possible because I feel like every everybody's talking about it because it's Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan is the most popular podcast.
Yeah, we can keep it short with that one.
In the world. And we kind of know the story. I'm more gonna keep it like, okay, the brief time, I'm just gonna keep it brief. Like, for basically, Joe Rogan came under fire from mainstream media, and
not the first time.
Yeah, not the first time. Basically saying that he's being kind of careless with the conversations that he's having on his show about COVID. Number one, right? And so that low rumbling kind of bubbled up to a big artist, Joni Mitchell, and actually it wasn't Joni Mitchell who started it. It was Neil Young, and then Joni Mitchell jumped on it. So Neil Young saying, well, if you're going to have this, well, take me off. And then Spotify said, okay, you're off. Like, they're like, okay, if you want to go.
Because it's a numbers game. This
at the end of the day, right?
This Joe dude brings in more money.
Like, that just, if you're a money person, that makes complete sense. But anyway, so, and then that bubbled up, right?
Well, they are. Spotify is a money game. That's a money game.
And then all of a sudden, so because there's two issues that are convoluted, so I want to separate the two, and then we'll kind of talk about it. So that's one thing, the COVID thing. Then that was rectified. Joe Rogan came and said he's going to be more balanced, and they were going to put disclaimers when they're going to talk about, just like they do on YouTube and Facebook. There's disclaimers about the discussion. Okay, now India Ari jumps into the ring, and so there was a video circulating of him saying the N-word with the ER and not the AH or the A at the end. Basically, there's that video, and to me that wasn't like I've seen the full clips. And so he was repeating what people say. So that's like, it's still bad, but that's not what bothered me. What bothered me was the comment where he talked about the Planet of the Apes. That's a comment where I was like, oh no, you can't back your way out of this one. And then, India Ari, basically her argument is, I don't want to be on a platform that's paying
I don't want to support him.
Joe Rogan so much money, and he's like, saying these things, right? And then she later came on, like, we all know that, we saw that video. Then she later went on CNN and said, I don't think he's a racist, but obviously those things that he said were questionable and he needs to learn. Like, he apologized, but it's not up to me to take the apology. We want to see new behavior. So, fine. So, that pretty much wrapped it up. And a lot of people were criticizing her because obviously his fan base is massive. So, they're going to attack anybody that's attacking him. And the criticism of her is, it's like a money thing. It's like because remember, there's also the thing with Spotify doesn't pay artists a lot of money. They pay it's like not even a full penny. They pay a portion of a penny. They get paid a portion of a penny every time their song is on there. So there is like those politics with musicians versus maybe podcasts or somebody like Joe Rogan. So I think that to make the conversation more nuance. So my question is, do you think this is a hit on Joe Rogan? One. Number two, what is India Ari an infiltrator? Is she an agent? Was she that's a conversation. Is she an agent, basically saying an agent of chaos, like somebody was funded her to create this ruckus?
No, I don't think that this is a hit against Joe. I think that he's pushing his boundaries.
Okay.
And he's flexing his power. That's what I think his comments are about. You know, I think that when I heard what he said, I was just I was disgusted because he was definitely, by association of words
Mm-hmm.
and moment, connecting Black people with the jungle. He
Mm-hmm.
definitely was. And
More than
so,
once, yeah.
yeah, and I can't really sit well with that. That can't really wrap around my brain real good.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of Spotify, from my understanding, it's a good portion of Black culture that is on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
So I find it very disturbing that they're getting, cents to a penny
Mm-hmm.
or a fraction of a penny or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. I stand behind what India Ari said. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
do stand behind what she said. Whether she's I don't know, agent of chaos,
Mm-hmm.
maybe there needs to be some shaking up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Maybe
good point.
maybe they are trying to expose
Yeah,
him.
even if she is, well, he needed to be exposed, I guess.
And
Mm-hmm.
instead of it being behind closed doors
Mm-hmm.
and him treating staff like that, maybe, or, other people that he comes in contact with,
Mm-hmm.
or thinking that that's okay, that maybe it needed to be exposed. So even if she were an agent of chaos, I'd be like, yes, girl, take the assignment. Somebody needs to, like, wake up a light to what he's really like. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And maybe think twice about being a fan of his. You know,
Yeah.
now what I do want to say is when we talked about Whoopi the other day, right?
Yeah, that's been coming up. Yeah.
Right. This is a nuance that I have is that, hold on, you were ready to hang her by the Raptors, Brendan. Like, you were ready. You understand what I'm saying? And she went bent over backwards, pussy pop 10 times backwards, okay? And still, she was suspended.
Mm, mm, mm,
Now
mm.
you have this fool, and I do call his, like, he's trying to be comical, but his
Mhm.
comedy is, it's like dried up because he's trying to, like I said, flex his muscles with
Yeah.
power. So back to the point. Ultimately, I think he needed to be exposed for who he really is, even to people like me who don't
Mhm.
really concerned with Joe Rogan. Like, I
Yeah.
don't really, I know who he is. I know what he's got to say. His mouth is reckless. It pulls in views. It gets him fans. It gets him money. It
Yeah.
brings attention to Spotify. I get the whole, beast behind this
Yes.
action
Yeah.
that he displayed. And maybe it's nice that, Black people can call out white people and say, "Nah, I'm not about it. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
do this
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
you, and I'm not gonna be on this platform anymore." See, the thing is that when people start pulling out, it's like, you got to be careful. It's like a woven sweater. You start pulling one thing, and before you know it, you don't have no scarf.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people will just follow, trend and coming off of Spotify, and Spotify, she might have to think about maybe suspending him, like they did Whoopi. But anywho, that's a whole nother discussion. That's a whole nother
Yeah, that's another
discussion right there.
discussion. So
Nuance, but yeah.
I was just gonna say that at the end of the day, sorry, India Ari, the combination of India Ari, Neil Young, and Joni Mitchell, okay, go. That's not gonna affect Spotify's bottom line, like you said. But I think the noise affected them because they had significant drop in their stock price,
They damn sure
and
did.
that's why, like, somebody like Joe Rogan isn't usually gonna get on a camera and apologize. He's, just based on the persona that we know. So the fact
Mm-hmm.
that he had to get in front of the camera 2 times already and thing that those stock prices are hurting them. Those stock price drops are hurting them,
Yeah,
and
and
that's
they
why we're even
needed
seeing.
some sort of apologies happening ASAP so that we can
Yes,
stabilize the
let's
stocks.
stabilize the stock, right? So, and I would have to say that I guess, like what you said, at first I was kind of looking at her. I'm definitely I was looking at her sideways, and you could probably tell from my tone. I'm like, what the hell is India doing here right now?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess in theory, it's like she was communicating for the artist, whether you are black or not. I mean, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
it is more like you said, majority of American music that's consumed is from black culture. Sorry, but that's the truth. And
Sorry.
and
We can
so
go as far back as Elvis. But go
theoretically
on. Mm-hmm.
theoretically I get what she's saying, theoretically, but it's
I do
like
too.
for her of all people to come out of the woodworks I don't. It was very strange. It's just very strange, and she's the
Yeah,
only
I
one.
felt it like India. Like, what happened to you, girl? Like, I haven't seen much of
And
you
this is when you pop out the
lately.
woodworks. That's why I'm
But
like,
you know what? Hey, it's nice that as a black woman that we are getting some sort of feeling about respect here. Like, I'm gonna call for respect for myself, and I'm not gonna be a part of the shenanigans.
Okay, well, we'll see where this goes. It's just like you couldn't get away from it. It was on every TV show, every podcast. So I'm like, we need to at least touch.
And I'm not a Joe Rogan fan at all.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I appreciate when he has certain people. Like, he doesn't do a lot of celebrities, but if it's a celebrity I like, then I'll watch. Or he has doctors on there. He has really interesting people, but he himself, he makes sly comments all the time. So what he said was like not really a surprise, but the jungle one did catch me off guard. I was like, damn. But yeah, I do think he has a place in media, and he plays an important role. I'm not a super fan, but I think you know what, hopefully there's changed behavior. That's all we can hope for. Okay, moving on, we're gonna go on to Miss Tandy Newton. Oh, girl, what was you doing?
You're doing too much.
You're doing way too much. Okay,
you're giving me too much.
Way too much. Okay, so
heifer.
We're bringing up Thandie Newton because she was having an interview, and she was like literally had this. I couldn't even watch the whole thing. I watched like 10 seconds, and I was like, "This is and cringe. This is like secondhand embarrassing."
You only watched a little bit.
I only watched a little bit. I couldn't do too much, but I have. So basically,
she did too much.
In a nutshell, here's some quotes from the interview, and then we'll go from there. And because I don't know if it relates to the movie. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, she said, I wanted so desperately to apologize to darker skinned actresses, to say I'm sorry that I am the one chosen. My mama looks like you, she said. Okay, quote one. Now go to quote two. It's been very painful to have women who look like my mom feel like I'm not representing them, that I'm taking from them, taking their men, taking their work, taking their truth. But I do think any woman of color, whether they're pale or whatever, you've managed to help other actors get into this business. We matter. Whenever they say black women have watched the movie and it really, really mattered to them, I just thank God that my light skin didn't stop that from happening, that it didn't cause more pain. Oh, Woody! Girl! Bye. Bye. Like, okay.
Bye,
so
Felicia.
I read the quote. So I've read the quote. Okay. Two things.
Doing too much.
First of all, are you all right, Fenty?
I don't know. She's just doing too.
And second of all, is it drugs? Like, why was
Something's wrong.
What was the emotional balance was definitely off kilter when she did that interview. That's all I gotta say, because I've heard similar sentiments, but it didn't come off that way. So here's the thing: it's kind of like a double-handed
compliment.
But not a compliment. So
yeah, I'm all too familiar.
Because normally, okay, when we have conversations like this, if an actress who's lighter skinned and who's been privileged, who has pretty privilege, whatever privilege you want to call it, has been able to be super successful because, you know, she's lighter and maybe more digestible to white audiences, or so they think in the studios, then they've come out and said, you know, I do know my privilege, and I do hope, my aim is to kind of bring other actresses with darker skin in with me, and so we're telling the full spectrum of black people or black women. So I've heard this sentiment. The sentiment of what she's saying is not new. I've heard, you know, it's a conversation. But where it gets weird is when she says, you know, here's the point of view she's coming from. She's coming from, you know, when we talk about colorism, then the light skinned girls always pop up in the conversation.
Always have to pop up.
Oh, the dark skinned girls teased me. They did this to me. They did that to me. And it's like, that's not what, it's like when we talk about reverse, it's like when they say like a black person is racist to a white person. It's like, even if you felt that you have that feeling, That's just your feeling. It's actuality of the definition of those terms. It's not true because they are at a disadvantage compared. They're just unfortunately based on how society's structured right now. Hopefully that will change. You are benefiting from a privilege.
Of course.
And so for you to pretend like that's not the case, that's like erasing pretty much a voice of dark skinned people. So here she said, here's the part where I took real taking their men. Girl, you're married to a white man.
Doing too damn much. This is why I have to say about that is the reason why is because I saw also the clips of her video, her crying, and I was just like, okay, you yourself had to have had a feeling of feeling superior to dark-skinned women, where you noticed that the opportunities were not the same, yet you took them, right? Like let's just call a spade a spade. You took the opportunity, said way. Yeah. Even if you know that in a particular role, a dark-skinned woman was turned down, you still took them. And so that was meant for you.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Whatever that is that was meant for you. So for you now to think that you're in this level of superiority to me as a dark-skinned woman, you're showing your ass right now. As far as I'm concerned, you're showing your ass because you do feel a little superior to us. You're now saying that you're taking something from someone? Really? You think that you're that entitled?
You didn't take it. Somebody gave it to you.
Right? You see where I'm going with this, right, Jeanette? So this feeling when you say, oh, you have the ability, that you have some sort of extra authority, other than being pretty and light-skinned, to just come in and take the role away from me. You're showing your ass right now. So I'd rather you hush your mouth. And when you went over to line now where you're talking about men, nah, you have some sort of complex.
Yeah, she has a complex. She showed, like you said, she showed her ass.
Like you showed it. Okay, and it's disgusting to me because it's like, I wish that were really true. But what it really is showing that she has a complex with her own skin.
She does. Yeah, that's all it is.
And she is deflecting that or reflecting that image onto us dark-skinned women who have to take on this plight of you feeling so sorry because you're a lighter skin.
Move from around here. Oh, God.
You're a lighter-skinned, beautiful Black woman that gets all the roles, and you're closer to the brown paper bag. Listen, heifer. We're coming up in the ranks. And we're actually looking for roles that will really put us over the top. If we have to strive to be excellent, more excellent than you, more excellent than a white woman, more excellent than a man, you know what I mean? And so we will come up and we will get those roles that really do us justice and really show our talent. You know what I mean? So you can step off, pick whatever man you want. Because if he thinks anything like how you are saying, you can come and take that opportunity. If he's on that page with you, then he's not meant for me. Just like I said, the opportunities came to you because they were for you. They were not for me.
That's a good point.
So yeah. You're doing too much and go sit down. You're showing your ass like you look stupid. Do you have something coming out? Like all this, where are all these people that you haven't seen in donkey years just uprising from the ashes? The first Indian Ari, I know she.
Here's what
the last woman, Miss Yarin.
Here's what I have to say why I'm so mad. I'm so mad because she's actually one of my favorite actresses. She's so good.
She's
I'm so mad. I'm so mad that she came out with this nonsense. Nobody asked you for this, girl. Don't drink and do interviews ever again because you really should.
Something, yes, the way she did. Right.
Lord, I'm so mad. Okay, anyway, family. Hopefully this can turn around, but girl.
Please do, girl, because Lord knows you need it. You need it. You need to turn around.
So next is
Stop your ass.
Something fun, moving away from Tandy and her nonsense. Did you see the newest cover of Essence?
Yes. Yes.
with Clifford, aka Method
Yes.
Man Smith.
Yes.
Woo,
Woo.
looking like a snack
Gorgeous.
and a half.
Just gorgeous. He's just so handsome. I just.
He's
And the
been
man doesn't age.
He doesn't age. He has not aged. Woo. Ooh. Boy. Anyway,
oh
yeah, just, you know.
If I wasn't, let me tell you, if I wasn't.
It's so funny that I just actually saw a meme on Twitter because everybody, you know, all the women were like going off on this Essence cover with Method Man. If you guys who don't know, like Method Man, I don't know how you can't know, but he was a part of Wu-Tang Clan. And when I was in elementary school, that was the one.
I love Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang. Method Man.
Yes.
Method Man and RZA were the ones I liked in terms of looks. And then when it came to raps, then
actually, yeah, in terms of looks.
All of them could rap their asses off. So I can't even choose one right now. But yeah, so you guys check out that cover. But there's funny thing before we move in.
Gorgeous.
Twitter had this thing where, you know, those memes where they said Method's Man's wife, and they showed the image of Sandy Newton saying, "Sorry, I'm the one chosen." Yeah, his wife is a lucky woman. That's all I gotta say.
Yes, she is, because when I was growing up with Method Man, like, he was my favorite in terms of looks, but he could rap just the same. So he was like, out of all the Wu-Tang, he was my favorite. But my next in line was Spectre Decta, and he could rhyme. His lyrics were crazy. But Method Man, you don't age. You are a handsome black man. This is testimony to Black Don't Crack. Yes, thank you. He is gorgeous. And now he's getting his grown man on. He's trying, you know, he still has his clothes baggy, but he looks sharp while he's doing it, you know? Just so, let me tell you.
Okay, and then moving on, so another classic hip-hop artist, Snoop Dogg, acquired Death Row Records this week. I couldn't find how much. I looked at a couple of articles. I couldn't find out how much he actually paid for it. I mean, I don't think it would be too much. I don't know, because I don't know if they still have the rights to the music or whatever. I don't want to. But he has acquired it. And following that, not I could say not one full day after I saw that news on the headlines, there was a accusation from a woman who was filing a civil lawsuit, and that, mind you, a civil lawsuit that accuses him of sexual assault and battery. And the incident would have happened after a concert in 2013. And obviously his lawyers have come out saying it's a meritless shakedown. And you never know with cases like this. I mean, it's a civil lawsuit. It's coming out at very convenient timing. I don't know. I always
convenient timing. It's like literally the ink is not even dry on the contract yet, bro.
Right.
And you're already. And let me just say now, first, to those people who have actually survived a sexual assault,
yes,
my heart goes out to you, and I hope that God is with you. Okay. However, if you're gonna pull this type of nonsense, you look real suspect by starting a lawsuit versus pressing charges. You know, it looks real suspect, especially in the court of law when you're dealing with someone, public figure like Snoop Dogg. Whether we want to believe it or not, him and Martha Stewart are Bim and Bati. You understand? So he's moving in different circles than you could possibly expect.
Yep.
All right. So with that being said, it's just really suspect to me. It just next day, like, can the ink dry, Regine? Can the money be verified before you're, you know what I mean? Like, on it. Wow. It's
And to those of you who don't know the significance of him buying Death Row, I mean, I feel like people who listen to this podcast are in our age group, so they would know. But obviously, Death Row was a big West Coast label ran by Suge Knight, and he had Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre,
where he put out his first album,
Ice Cube, Tupac. Like, there was mass death row in the early 90s to even mid 90s. Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
they were like killing it. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully I will be looking out to see what he does with the label. Okay, and before one more thing, two things actually for headlines. We didn't talk about this, but two things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you see that video of the baby and Danny Lee? I'm tired of talking about the
Oh
baby,
God.
but the
Mm-hmm.
baby and his crew beating up Danny Lee's brother.
Yeah, I saw it briefly, and I was like, really?
Yeah,
This
I
is
don't
what we're
think it's
doing
worth
now?
talking about, but just we've talked about them, but it's like this is where we're at. Like people,
It's disgusting at this point. It's kind
but
of,
anyway,
you know why? Because
mhm.
what, just quickly,
Yeah,
what disgusts me about it the most is that I've seen since this little baby's been born,
you're right.
like this back and forth with this child on social media, right? And now you have him beating up a part of her family,
Mm.
beating up her uncle, the little baby that is yours and Danny. Like it just, it's like, can we not put down the damn Instagram? Can we not put down
Yes,
like
we're
the
tired
Facebook?
of
Like,
it.
can we just deal with the issues that need to be dealt with for the betterment of your child?
Mm.
It's not even. It's horrible that you're fighting with her family, your
Mm.
child's family. One, but two, okay, you're putting it upon blast.
Mm.
It's like, ugh, I'm so done.
Yeah, and then finally, and we're not doing music news, but this could kind of fit into
Mm-hmm.
that category. This week, there's three artists whose penises were ended up on
Somehow.
Twitter. Somehow ended up on Twitter. So I saw Nelly's, Lil Fizz or Little Fizzle
Wow.
Pop, and then I didn't see Isaiah Rashad, but everybody's talking about it. The Isaiah Rashad one is kind of sad because I think he was like outed because it's some man on man action, and
Wow.
nobody knew that about him. So that one's
Wow.
a
This is
little
what
bit
we're
more
doing now.
dangerous because hopefully he's doing okay or he has a good circle around him because nobody should be outed that way. But
No.
to keep it light, Nelly and Little Fizz, the Twitter talk conversations were hilarious.
My gosh. These men are, they're hard up for cash, bro. Like they're hard up for money or something. Like they're just selling their penis pics to the highest bidder. Like I can't. It's horrible. Like,
Mm.
why are these men doing that? Why is it happening, Jeanette?
Well,
Just
Lil
because
Fizz
they're
was
attractive?
Lil Fizz
I
one
guess to
was on
some.
purpose. Lil Fizz was on purpose because he's on all OnlyFans. So I don't know how you can be on OnlyFans and not expect
Yeah.
for that to be exposed.
But
So
didn't Soldier Boy do one the other day too?
I'm not sure. I didn't know.
I think
These
he
are the ones
dropped one the other day too, a
these were
couple
the
weeks
ones that I
ago.
came across.
Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah. So that's some fun. If you guys are curious, go on.
Sure.
They're circulating on Twitter if you're
Yeah,
curious.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's our headline. So we're gonna move into
Mm-hmm.
Wagwan for real.
Wagwan for real.
And in this segment, we look at stories that just don't add up. They don't make
Mm-hmm.
much sense. We hear them or we see them, and we have to ask, Wagwan for real?
For real.
And this week, we're going to talk about Miss Wendy Williams. Oh
Yes.
Lord, oh Lord,
Lord.
Wendy, what is going on over there in the
What
Wendy
is
Williams camp?
transpiring? Please.
Okay, so the newest update, we've talked about Wendy a couple of times here, but here's
Mm-hmm.
the newest update. First of all, we still don't know what's wrong with Wendy. We don't
Mm-hmm.
know if it's a relapse, drug relapse. We don't know if it's dementia. We don't know if it's
Mm-hmm.
her Graves' disease.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. So I'm going into this
Something's popping.
not really knowing what has afflicted Wendy Williams and why she has not been able to return to her show. Now, okay, so the newest update is she must have went to, I don't know if she wanted to withdraw some money or get access to some money, and the bank claimed that she's an incapacitated person who needs a guardianship. So the bank sent a letter to the New York Supreme Court judge, so that's kind of a big deal, requesting a hearing to determine whether Williams, who has not hosted her show since July 2001, so they requested a hearing to determine whether she is of sound mind, I guess, to be dealing with her financial affairs. And so this came after an incident where her attorney filed an emergency petition because she wanted. So basically, she wanted to file the get some access to her money, and then the bank was
Mm-hmm.
refusing. So the lawyers are now were concerned. So now it's kind of escalated, and that's why it's been escalated to the New York Supreme Court. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
then so she hasn't been able to get any money access to her money for 2 weeks basically.
Can you
So
imagine?
they are
How
saying that,
dare
can
you?
you imagine, so she's denied
How dare you?
her accounts, her assets and statements. and
How damn dare
and
you?
this has happened, and what triggered the bank to kind of freeze her assets essentially is her former financial advisor Lori Schiller basically said to the bank, put it out there that Wendy Williams was of unsound mind. So that's kind of what triggered the bank to freeze her assets. So somebody in her camp did that. So obviously, this woman has since been fired because they call her
Damn right.
a former financial advisor. So obviously, she doesn't work for Wendy Williams anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
her lawyer said in the court documents why this is escalated is that Williams had fired Lori Schiller as her advisor due to alleged malfeasance involving her accounts, as well as improper conduct in relation to their professional relationship. However, the lawyer acknowledged that Williams continues to rely on Schiller's advice. So, I mean, we could kind of read between the lines there, and there's
Can
some
we say disgruntled employee?
disgruntled employee, straight goods. There's and maybe Lori was pulling some stunts, okay?
Yep.
Because she's thinking
Yep.
Wendy doesn't know what's going on, and Wendy knows
Yep.
bloody well what's going on.
She
That's why your
knows
ass
damn
got
well what's going
fired.
on. Yep.
Okay?
And if any time, this is when Wendy would be the most
Vulnerable.
observant of her
Mm-hmm.
funds,
Mm-hmm.
because she's not working. Not to say that she's going to be broke on the street,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to, she's paying alimony, she's paying where she lives,
Mm-hmm.
and also all of this in terms of medical care that she's getting,
Mm-hmm.
everything that, like, and furthermore, it's her money. It's hers. She
Mm-hmm.
can look at it all day long if she want to put it on the wall. Okay, see it on the TV. How much she has going in and out of her accounts, it's her business.
Mm-hmm.
It's nobody else's business. She worked hard for that money. How dare you? How dare you? How damn dare you? You get fired and you want to come with this nonsense right here? Disgruntled employee, yes.
Seems like,
Mm-hmm.
with all the news and when we not nobody really knowing what's going, people in her camp must have an idea, but I think even people in her camp don't really know. I feel like they're keeping a tight ship, which is good, but the leeches and the serpents are definitely surrounding her now.
Yeah,
We
they
keep
definitely are, because she is obviously having some sort of ailment. That's
mm,
definitely, you can
yeah,
see that.
yeah.
But for the most part, I feel like, you see, when you were asking me earlier about Joe Rogan,
Mm-hmm.
okay, no, they're coming for her. Okay, somebody is gunning for Wendy,
Mm,
because
mm.
I don't understand how, like, it seems like in the last little while, there's so much falling apart in her
Mm-hmm.
world.
Yeah.
Like, the show, we don't know what's popping. That might be going over to what's her name now, Sherry
Sherry
Shepherd.
Shepherd, yeah.
Okay, she might have that. If you don't get your shit together by September, so I'm hearing, they're going to change the name
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
move on with her. So there's health issues that are going on. I'm hearing talks that she, relapse. I don't know what's popping, but something's not right.
With
And
all this going on though, Kim, where's her son?
tell me, do you hear why I said someone's gunning? Now, I'm not, hello, I just want to make sure, everybody, I am by no means am I alleging that her son would do anything to harm her.
Mm.
But there's something personal to this. It doesn't sit well with me how
Mm.
her whole world is topsy turvy in less than a month. First, we get announcements of her show pretty much in limbo, and is going to possibly be taken over by someone else. Then now we're hearing that her accounts are frozen, and I think in one of the depositions that they had the counsel for this bank, they said that they felt as though she was being extorted. They used that word, extorted, and so under certain policies, they feel like it would be in her best interest to do what they're doing. And so her counsel came back and said, no, actually, you're doing the opposite here,
Hmm.
because she has financial responsibilities, such as the alimony, such as her mortgage, taking care of her son and helping him while he's in school. Good question, Jeanette. I don't know where her son is. I don't know how deep he's into this. I don't know if she keeps him at bay. I don't know. I don't
Or
know,
maybe
but it
he's not
just
even
seems so
equipped. I don't,
strange.
or maybe he's not even, because you're right. He's only college age, so he's in his early 20s. So maybe he's not even equipped to know how to deal with the situation, which even that too is not really good. But at least there's somebody on her side. I would
Yeah,
hope.
but can't I see him pushing her in the thing? How come we never see
Well,
him
he's in
pushing
school.
her around? Yeah, I understand, but it's your mom, bro.
Yeah, but I remember this is a kid who's spoiled left, right,
Well,
and
that's why
center.
I feel like maybe she is the one that's keeping him at bay and
Yeah,
just, like letting him live his
yeah,
life and
yeah. I do.
not,
I do
yeah.
think that. So, I mean, that's a question. Like when things like this happen, when an older person, and she's not that old, but like just say like a parent
Mm-hmm.
is now showing health decline, you want to believe that there's somebody who has their best interest is around them. That's all. That's what I mean when I ask about her son. It's
Mm-hmm.
like at the very least, I would think if anybody, she has a lot of people who work for her around her. Great, wonderful, but those people you don't know. They're not family. They're not blood. They're not really friends.
No,
Not they're friend. They may be your friend now, but at the end of the day, you employ them.
thank
So
you.
it's just I don't know. It's a
I don't know.
very
It just seems really funny, and it makes me ask the question, like, really and truly, walk on for real, because this woman's life is just topsy turvy,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But
like big time.
I am.
Like, if you just think maybe what a year ago,
Mm,
she was still very much vibrant on the show. She was
yep.
doing. Now all of a sudden we can't see her again.
Mm,
Up on the show, and I don't know. Maybe she's done.
it's looking.
Maybe she's done, but
It's
and
not looking
maybe
good.
she was trying to get her financial situation in order,
Mm,
and the advisor who was skimming off the top,
mm.
allegedly, that's my allegedly, was skimming off the top, got caught with her hand in the cookie jar, and Miss Wendy said, "Oh yeah, huh, right, you're done. Thank you.
Mm,
Here's your termination." And she didn't like that. She
yeah.
didn't like that because she was advising her for over 15 years.
Mm. Yeah, well, I'm hoping. Well, this is the newest development, but I'm hoping for a breakthrough for Wendy. She needs a win because a lot of mercy.
She does, but I feel like that people are gunning for her. Like, I don't know, they're coming for her, man. I don't know, and you know what? Sorry to say this, but excuse my French, everyone, but karma's a bitch. You gotta be careful what you put out in the world. You got to be careful what you put out in the world because it could come back. But anyways, we are going to move on into the call outs.
It's
It's
the
the
call
call.
out.
Okay, so this is where me and Jeanette, we put each other in the hot seat, everyone, and we ask each other questions. And so this week, I want you to pick a number from 1 to 4.
3.
Okay, so with it being Black History Month, my question is, how do you feel when a white woman tries to touch your hair?
I'm gonna broaden it up. It's not just it's anybody, but
Okay, yeah.
I get what you're asking me. I don't have any examples of them trying to really touch my hair, to be honest. The only person who tried to and did it was a black girl who was close to a little bit younger than me, but actually
Mhm.
she was a teenager and I might have been in my early.
Mhm.
And I was like, I was like, I had to back up. I was like, wait, like you don't know, like you should know better, like youngin, you should
Mhm.
know better. And everybody
Mhm.
around us was laughing, so we are just there. And she's like, oh, and because I used to when I
Mhm.
relaxed my hair was fairly long, I guess, for
Mhm.
somebody of darker complexion, people
It was
always,
very long. Not
so people would
somewhat. It was
always,
long.
a lot of people would be, that's why you know it's a black girl, because a white person will just take it for what it is, right?
Yeah.
But she was
Yeah.
like, is that real? And she had the gall to reach
Mm-hmm.
and touch my
Mm-hmm.
scalp. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what is happening here? But in
Mm-hmm.
terms of your example, I'm not comfortable with it. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
anybody who's actually ever done it. I am
Mm-hmm.
thankful that I've had a lot of people around me that have boundaries or can feel my boundaries, and but they do ask. They do ask, because as a black woman we have different styles, so I might have
Mm-hmm.
had crochet curls, if I switched it
Mm-hmm.
up to braids, and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, is that real? That's as far as it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Those conversations that can be a
Mm-hmm.
little bit micro, they don't, I'm not going to call it a microaggression, but sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it feels like a microaggression. But I'll give it to them. I can be like, you know what, maybe you just don't know. You grew up in a small town, maybe. But yeah, that's my
Mm-hmm.
experience with that. It's only if they ask about the different hairstyles, but no one's ever
Mm-hmm.
tried to touch. But obviously, no, I wouldn't want anybody. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
even want my man to touch my hair. Like, don't touch my hair. Don't touch my
You
hair.
know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Well, to answer my own question, I have had that happen before.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it happened to me twice. Okay. So the first time that it happened to me, now, like you said, in my younger years, I had longer hair,
Mm-hmm.
a
She
lot
did.
longer.
She's
And
got that
so,
good hair.
oh, stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Indian
Anyways.
hair. No, I'm kidding. Okay, keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah, I'm
Stop.
Dogla. Yes. So I had longer hair. Anyways, so I got my hair freshly. I think I was like maybe 18. And there was this little salon that I could afford because, yes, I had a job. Okay. I wasn't, I did my hair regularly. So I come right out of the hair salon and I'm getting onto the bus, but you're waiting at the bus stop. And this woman was just really infatuated with the length of my hair. And, it just came from I just came from the salon, Bridget. Like
So it
it
was
was
fresh and
looking
shining.
just glistening, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And she literally reached out to okay, she didn't go into my scalp or into the
Mm.
back of my hair,
Oh. Mm-hmm.
but she reached out to the side of my hair,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because but I went in the wind, and she reached out and was trying to touch, and I was like, excuse me, who are you? Like, I don't know you from a can of paint. You're on the
Yeah.
street. Like, who are you?
That
Like,
makes
what are
it
you
10 times
doing?
worse that it was a random on the
Right?
street.
It was a random. I was just waiting at the bus stop, bro. Like, calm down. What are you doing? I don't know if she thought that she could because she was older than me
That could
and
be
she
it.
was white. But, anyways, now another situation was I was in the midst of like going through a transition into natural hair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an adult now, and I had braids, and I went to the corporate world with my braids. And yes, this white woman that I worked with tried to reach out and grab one of my braids. I'm like,
Mm.
what are you doing? I don't know what the problem is, why you feel you can do that, but I go into ninja mode because we're not about to do
We're
that.
not
Like,
going to do that. So how
we're
did that
not going to do that.
conversation go?
So so when she tried to, I was like, don't do that.
Mm?
And she's like, oh, I just wanted to see like how it feels. And I was like, it feels like hair. That's what it feels like.
Mm.
Now, for me, I'm someone who, one of my biggest pet peeves is other people's hair touching me.
Mm.
I don't like other people's hair touching me, especially if it's long and it looks kind of dirty. And now these two examples were of white women.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I have more grace than I did then,
Mm-hmm.
I can see that their curiosity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it was just what bothered me about the experiences was the arrogance to feel
Mm.
that I don't deserve any sort of respect here? Like, you can do whatever you want. You can reach out and touch people's hair nowadays. Like, what the hell is going on in the world? I don't understand why you would think that would be okay with anybody, whether I'm black, what Indian, Mexican, where we have different course of hair, or Puerto Rican or whatever. Like, what makes you believe that you can take that right from me? How dare you? It's better that you ask. So, anyways, that's my question. So, moving on to yours. What is Janet's question?
Okay, so my question, keeping with the Black History theme here, February's a short month. I was gonna ask, what's your favorite era in Black culture? And so what I mean is, yes. And so I'll start to give you a moment to gather your thoughts.
Please.
So besides right now, because I do think there's a movement going on right now, there's an energy that's never been here before. Unfortunately, it was fueled with that tragic video of George Floyd getting his life snuffed out from him, literally in front of us. But there's an interesting time. It's very, it's different than any other time of my lifetime, right?
Yeah.
And so besides this one that we're living in, I'm gonna say right now, I'm going to say the 90s. And I'm going to say the 90s because perhaps I'm biased because that's my childhood. I was born in the 80s, but I was a cognizant of my childhood in the 90s, right? And so, that was with the era of Biggie, Tupac, Black Power. Like, we had a lot. There was like those new age hip hop groups coming out, like Tribe Called Quest and things like that. And I think another big reason is we saw the transition of hip hop being a subculture to moving into pop culture and being mainstream. And so living through that from a childhood to teenager, that's such an interesting time. Like our hairstyles, our clothes, like, I'll let people know, like, where we grew up. We grew up in the suburbs of Toronto and Scarborough, and it's a community. It's a very diverse community, and like, it wasn't a majority of Black people. I won't say that, but it was a majority of people of color. So we grew up and went to school with Black people, people who Afro-Caribbean background, Filipino, like, let me just say Asian to encompass them all. Sorry, that encompasses everybody, as well as, Sri Lanka. I would say Sri Lankans and Indians. And basically, we grew up where the white people in our community or in our schools were the minority. But when you watch TV and when we consume music, we had a music channel called Much Music. It was not our culture. We did have representation. We had Rap City. We had, we had some, we definitely had content, but it was like, on the weekend, that's just like an hour or two out of the week compared to, all the other time was dedicated to other, mainstream pop culture, alternative rock and stuff like that, which I do love. I have an appreciation for it. But I would say that representation really, really started to come up in the late 90s. So it was just good to see that transition and seeing our culture represented. And so what I'm saying is that everybody, even if you weren't Black, white, Sri Lankan, whatever, you were looking at that Black culture and reflecting that, how you speak, how you dress, the music you listen to. So the influence, that's what I'm trying to say. The influence of Black culture was an amazing thing to see in the 90s growing up. So yeah.
I'm gonna have to side with you on that, but for just a little bit different time frame, and that would be like, say, mid 1990s to mid 2000s.
Okay.
So in that time frame for me is where, I finished high school and went on to university. So that whole 10-year gap, that 10-year decade for me, it was very influential, like you said, with music. You know what I mean? And music was like everywhere. There's just so much of it to consume. Even with the West Indian culture, like reggae, for instance, that evolution, where it was like, I felt reggae kind of changed. Like, it was on the verge of more dance hallish. like the beginning in my world of dance hall. Now, yes, reggae for me before that was very, the later the or earlier reggae, where sorry, didn't think,
Yeah.
so that type because it was influenced from my parents, like my
Yeah.
parents and the music that time frame. So it took a big leap forward where we had Buju Banton and we had Sizzla, and we had everybody was just, it was just so much to consume music, and I love music. I feel like it's a part of my soul. And so just seeing that change and that shift, even in like calypso music, like that whole time frame for
Yeah.
me, even with Caravana, like that's no more, but it was a huge parade that we used to have over here. Everybody came from near and wide for this
You
parade.
think Carabana's coming back this year?
Nah, man, that's gotten, it's done. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Oh boy.
But I stopped going to Caravana many years ago. But that was a good time frame for me, and the music and the vibe was just different. Yeah, so I'll say that. I'll say that time frame, but I'm gonna make it specific, like 1995 to like 2005.
Okay, I forgot to mention there was also a lot of black movies coming in the 90s.
Oh yes,
like what was
Love and Basketball?
Love and Basketball.
That's my thing.
Love Jones, Poetic Justice. All those
yes.
like. All
Tupac,
those movies, like whew.
He was so sexy in that movie.
Yeah,
Tupac. And Janet, they had their relationship.
I still think they had a behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, definitely, because they were two in sync as a couple for me in that movie. But yeah, no, Friday,
all of them. That was a good time for Black culture.
Big time, and there was so many Black sitcoms like that were
how
out.
Can I forget?
Living Single, what?
Martin,
Disney.
Those shows.
Single.
I think they all came, and then Fresh Prince, Family Matters.
Yeah,
the 90s was when all the Black sitcoms were going.
Arsenio Hall. What are we doing? What are we doing? We can't leave Arsenio out of the equation.
So that just
Okay, because for me, he was more than just a talk show host. Like I felt like he was like almost a journalist, but this is where you got to see his journalism kind of, and comedy.
Yeah, he was a good
and
interviewer.
Mixed it. No, but the reason why I say journalism is because he really tried to dig deeper into the artist. He didn't ask like these really general questions and like just tried to be a skit and be funny about it. You know what I mean? Like he kind of went a little deeper, and you got to know a little bit more in depth about these stars. Eddie Murphy everybody. Arsenio had everybody on the show. In Living Color, like I can't.
Oh, that
was the time.
What? That was. Oh my God, that show.
You know how many people?
I want them to come back. I want them to come and do like a one-time event, like an hour special, and just come back and do some of their top skits. I would love
it. And this is where Jim Carrey. That's where that's where Jim Carrey got me. Not the rest of the stuff. Everybody else, you need to go and watch Jim Carrey on The Living Color. You need to go see. He was the funniest white boy I could ever they could ever put on that show. Okay, he was, and to this day he's still very, very funny.
And what I liked about him is that even though he was a white guy, it's like he didn't pretend to be anything
other than that.
He was himself. He's a Canadian white guy.
Joe Marshall was very funny. Joe
Marshall,
the Marshall.
Oh, I know the fire marshal when his hair was all bun up. I can't remember the name, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that character was hilarious.
I like that about him. And you know how many stars came off that show? Like
all of them. And even the ones who didn't pop off, they were so funny. It's maybe life got in the way, but even like, okay, here's an example. The sister, Kim Wayans. She is so funny on that show.
She's
and
hilarious.
She never really, I know she did a couple of movies, but since she didn't really do that much. Like the brothers really continued on. But Kim Wayans kind of stayed low key. But she was like, honestly, like one of the funniest people on that show.
Yes, she was. And even people, like, when you think about how many people were successful, J-Lo was dep on that show, Brethren. Okay, she
Mm-hmm.
was dep on that show, dancing herself away, dancing here. Yeah, now look at where she is.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have thought that, that in Living Color, yo, I used to love that. Let me tell you, that show was the bomb. Thebomb.com. It was so, anyway, I could go on for
Yeah, we
days
could go on for a
with
long
the
time.
sitcoms. But my question to you in that is, sub question, what the hell happened? What the hell happened?
Right? That's the question.
What the hell happened?
We need to go to Hollywood and ask what the hell happened.
I don't understand it, Jeanette. We're listed off show after show. There's so many more. What happened?
Yeah, something after the 90s there was a decline. I was watching the Breakfast Club. Charlemagne the God said that too. He was like, in the 90s there was so much good black sitcom, like television content, and like it just went away. It went away.
It's literally just vanished.
I don't know.
Vanished. Like, you don't even see like reruns or nothing. Like, just vanished. I don't even understand it. But anywho, that was a very good question, by the way. We are going to now move on into the workouts.
Your workout.
Yes, this is where we work out our hearts and exercise our mental fitness and do deep dive discussion on issues that are impacting our culture. And because, again, listeners, that it is Black History Month, we would like to look deeper into Black History Month from a different standpoint. And this week, we want to talk about someone that we think contributed to the Black community and to the Black culture. And we want to see how we are now experiencing this person. And this person is Madam C.J. Walker. Now, as a Black woman, thank you that there was a Madam C.J. Walker. Thank you, Lord Jesus, that you put her on this planet. I know we all know a little bit about her. I think where we started, for me, I'm going to speak for myself in this respect. Last week, we were talking about Black history and what it was like as we changed and evolved as human beings and as Black women, and how it was taught to us and how, at what perspective we were. And so now I want to look at this woman at a different perspective, because I've heard of her. We've all heard of her. We all have, somewhat of a basic level of understanding of what she did, right? But we need to take it into perspective here. That for this Black woman to make this type of move in the time that she was in, she's extraordinary. And I want to look at her because she's extraordinary. Now, she was born December 23rd in 1867 in Louisiana. Now, this is Deep South. This is Deep South, where slavery is running rampant.
It's still running.
Understand? And she was actually born to 2 slaves. By the age of 7, she was an orphan. So for her to now move on and grow up and learn, by the age of 14, she was married. She was widowed by 20. She had a daughter. And so we see a struggle. But steady, she moved on into her life, and she would take different jobs, and when she decided that she was gonna move out to New York, she had family out there. And they were in, I guess you would say, the hair business. They were barbers and so on. And so she went there and she worked hard as a hair washer. So she got a chance to maybe see a bit of what the industry could offer. And she moved on. And after a while, she got a job as working alongside a chemist. There, she then developed different products that we could put into our hair. She developed different tools that we could use. And what I wanted to say about her excellence was that she saw that as Black women, we had to assimilate, whether we wanted to or not, whether we wanted to put these chemicals in our hair in order for us to work and to make money for our families and to feed our families and to have homes. Unfortunately, we had to assimilate. And she was able to find ways for Black women to appreciate their hair, not just their hair, their skin. So, anyways, that's just a bit about like the backstory of her.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, she did die in 1919.
Mm-hmm.
But before she didn't just leave this world without doing much. She is the first Black millionaire,
Mm-hmm.
self-made, from the ground, from the bottom up, and that's why I wanted to talk a bit about her past. This is from the dirt. She
Mm-hmm.
became a millionaire with her different products and her different tools that she did make. She left this world doing a lot with herself. She has made several real estate investments.
Mm-hmm.
She had beauty schools. She contributed back to the community by, donating her money, also her time. And this is a Black woman that, like I said, from the dirt, she didn't leave this world without making a stamp
Yeah.
that will always be here. And if you ever wanted to see a landmark that is just about her, they do have a theater. It's Madam Walker Theater Center in Indianapolis.
Okay.
So they do have somewhere where you could go and see where she started out, where she started her business and she started to grow. And she had many people underneath her and she had many different businesses, and she actually owned a property. Not
Mm-hmm.
just and I want to say that with an emphasis because again, this woman is living just after slavery.
Yeah.
Okay? She's making her way, but even though it's after slavery, the mindset hasn't left.
No.
The mindset is still there.
There's still
So
some people in that bondage today. So.
still to today, but she pushed through and
Mm-hmm.
persevered. And she made sure that she obviously left something for her family, and not just her family. She went a step further, and her community.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
Yes, it's very important, that part, because she left a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
She left a legacy for, and when I, sorry, I'm jumping, but when I did mention that as Black women, the time again, we had to learn how to assimilate.
Mm-hmm.
If we wanted to get into the door of places and to be able to work in stores and make a wage, that's just how it was. It's unfortunate. But this woman was able to take what she knew by working with her family in barbershops and working with, a chemist. And she was very intelligent
Mm-hmm.
and she was very motivated. And as Black people, it is an example of excellence.
Yep.
And we should take note of it because her life should not be in vain. And it shouldn't just be something that we happen to say at Black History Month to teach our children. We
Yeah.
should teach her the real depth of this woman to survive that.
Mm-hmm.
And, she did get married to a Charles Walker, and that's where we see her name.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in. But before that, the husband that she was previously married to, like, her brother-in-laws were very nasty and mean to her. Okay, so she came from a rough into a millionaire that left a legacy that I really do want to talk about. And so I'm opening up the floor with my newfound knowledge of this woman, CJ Walker.
Yeah. So a couple of things. So I don't know if you said it, but the claim, like, she was the first Black woman millionaire, and that's how I know her. But I think it's good to say why the product that really she did beauty products. That's what they tell
Yes.
you. But the main product that made her a millionaire was relaxer. For those who don't know,
Yes, hair relaxers.
and a
That's
hair
correct.
relaxer, aka the creamy crack, is what Black women use to straighten out their hair. So back in the day, we ain't doing that no more. But
No.
we keeping it
We have
natural over here.
choices.
We have choices, but that was her claim to fame. So just want to point that
Hmm.
out. And
And
second,
also the flat iron.
and the,
Sorry,
okay,
not the flat iron. The hot with the hot
hot
comb.
comb. Oh,
The
okay.
hot comb. Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
so but essentially straightening, like Kim said, to be more air quotes, presentable or assimilate our hair to
Mm-hmm.
make it straight. She made those products, right?
Mm-hmm. Made it
And
possible.
so the
Mm-hmm.
thing that I love about her, and you kind of called it out there at the end, there is, outside of her being financially successful against
Mm-hmm.
all the odds and the time
Mm-hmm.
frame, being a woman and a black woman at that, that is, oh, a miracle in itself, but thank God.
Mm-hmm.
What I really love about her story is she didn't just make money and leave it to her family and just
Mm-mm.
be rich. She was altruistic. She wasn't just a capitalist. She contributed to her community. She was friends with
Yes.
Booker T. Washington,
Yes, she was.
W.E.B. Du Bois, and she
Mm-hmm.
participated in NAACP
Mm-hmm.
and all these other movements to help black people. And this is before the civil rights movement, so it was
Thank
hard.
you.
It was very, like, so she died in early in 1919 or something around that, so this is early 1900s, let's call
Yep.
it,
Mm-hmm.
when we don't really have a voice, but she's still contributing and to these civil organizations, not only
Mm-hmm.
financially, but she would go to have talks. So
Mm-hmm.
she's a successful businesswoman, so that she was sharing that knowledge. And last week we were talking about Black Future Month, so I do think that tying Black history and Black future, it's about legacy and sharing the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
because there's plenty, we can't, yeah, there's plenty of examples of, like, we talk about all the time, Black excellence. But I think
Yes.
what really makes somebody excellent is you sharing that knowledge, sharing that wealth, and moving the people forward. Moving yourself forward, that's easy. I'm sorry,
Yeah, that's easy. Yeah,
but
definitely.
when you have not everybody has this trait, but if you have
She has the foresight,
the
Jeanette. She had the
foresight,
foresight to not just say, okay, well, I'm going to make it big and leave you.
no,
No, she said, okay, how do I teach a man to fish?
yes, yes, that's all Black Future Month is to me. um and yeah, anybody who, even me, I always try to get into mentorship and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think finally, the third biggest thing about her story is she was a woman.
Thank
She
you.
was a woman. And something I want to share with our listeners, no matter what your background is, it doesn't matter what
Mm-hmm.
your ethnicity, we're happy you're listening. But I know, if you know, in Black culture, women have, like, it's not like other cultures where women don't have a voice. In our culture, women play a pivotal role in the household's finances, in terms of bringing it to the household. Maybe not, I don't know about decision making, but we could see, and that does stem from slavery, because they were, they consciously, purposely separated men from the women. So that's
Yep.
where that comes from. But so for her, that was probably naturally in her, to, even though she doesn't have parents, even though she was in a bad situation with her brother-in-law, she still had the wherewithal to look after herself and build some type of strategy to finally come upon the idea that built up to her wealth. So just
Mm-hmm.
showing the power and the
Mm-hmm.
resourcefulness of Black women, and all of us Black women who are maybe not in the place that we want to be. We have
Mm-hmm.
all the tools to
Mm-hmm.
get there. I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean. So that's all I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
call out to Miss
Mm-hmm.
about Miss C.J. Walker.
Well, Miss CJ Walker, she is excellence, definitely, and a good example to try to follow. And I did want to piggyback on a notion that you were saying before, was that this is, to all races. I want you to take Black History Month as an opportunity to learn more about us, so that in certain situations you can understand where we might be coming from, and there isn't such a large disconnect. I want people to take the opportunity to listen to us two Black women tell you about our experiences and learning about our history as Black women. And for me to see that this woman at this time was able to make leaps and bounds, leaps and bounds to accomplish something bigger than her. She accomplished something that was a lot bigger than her. And I hope that, with us talking about being Black and our experience, even if it's within a month, of February, or it's any other time. I hope that we're heard, and I hope that you can understand the next time something comes up, or you see something, or you don't understand why we do what we do. Maybe you can think back to conversations that you have had about our lives and what we've had to struggle through. Um, she is an excellent example of a very, very strong Black woman, because for her to go where she went and to not leave people behind, and to actually care about those people and to try to bring them forward the best way that she could. I mean, it's something to admire, and it's something to maybe, in hopes that all women can have an example out of her. And that is to stay strong and to believe in yourself, and to never, there's going to be lots of naysayers. Which one are you going to listen to? Yourself, who believes in what you're doing, or everybody else? And she had to believe in what she was doing. She had to, and she had God on her side. You know what I mean? And she is very, involved with the church as well as Christianity. And so she was able to see forward and keep moving forward. And I want us to take away from that, as women in general, or as a population in general, is that we do have to move forward, and we have to try to understand each other the best way we can, because we're in this world together. We're in it together. So, to leave this on a positive note, um, you know, Madam CJ Walker, we thank you for all that you have brought forth to this world and left behind. You're still a memory, you're still someone to respect, and you are definitely excellence. And a lot of us can take a page or two from your long notebook. So we hope that your hearts and minds were activated on this week's show. Whether you lead with your heart or your mind, stay passionate, stay thoughtful. We will talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.